Hey guys, what's up? So I welcome you all to my channel Small Steps Academy, and today we are going to start with our macro lessons. We have finished our micro series for semester 4 of economics, and all those who have taken economics as a generic subject also, so they can go through that series and then they may move on to macro one. Okay, so we will be starting with our economic growth model, and our first topic will be Solow model. So, the Solow model is designed to show that how growth in capital stock, growth in labor force, and advancement in technology. I said three things, right? Growth in labor force, growth in capital stock, and advancement in technology interact in an economy and how they affect the total output of goods and services in an economy. So we will build Solow model in a series of steps. So what are the steps? I told you the 3 points, that growth in capital, growth in labor force, and advancement in technology. Basically, Solow model tells that how these three things interact in the economy, and we will study these three things one by one. And when we combine all these three things, we can name it as a Solow model. Okay. So first we will take accumulation of capital, one of the three pillars. Okay, so in the first step we examine how supply and demand of goods determine accumulation of capital, and in this step we will assume that labor force and technology are remain fixed. It is an important part that whichever pillar you are studying, or whichever part you are studying of Solow model, if you are studying accumulation of capital, then you have to keep the other two part as a constant. That is, you have to keep the labor force and technology are fixed. That is the other two parts. So first we will going to study the accumulation of capital. So now let's see that how demand and supply determine the accumulation of capital. Okay, so let's come on to supply first. Supply of goods and their production function. So supply of goods in Solow model is based on the production function, which state that output depends on capital stock and labor force. So we can write it as supply function or production function as this one, that output is a function of labor and capital. Also, it is further assumed that the production function as CRS. So it is assumed that the production function as CRS. And what does it imply? It implies if the inputs are increased in a given fixed proportion, then output will also increase in the same proportion. And if I have to show you from the equation, it will be like, let's say it is increased by Z proportion, all the input, ZK, ZL, right? So you can see here it will be increased by Z only, your output. So now what I will do, I will assume Z as 1 by L. Let Z equal to 1 by L. So now what will happen? It will become, if we substitute here, Y by L is equal to F K by L, right? And if you put 1 by L here, it will be 1 because L is in the numerator. Okay, so you will come like this, and we have basically converted the production function. Okay, now what does this implies? What does this tell you? This we will, let's say this is small y and function of k, since it is 1 only. This is small k. So if I want to tell you that what is small y and what is k, small y is equal to y upon n, and what does it imply? The mathematical interpretation, it implies that output per labor or worker. Similarly, K by L implies that capital per labor or worker. So we have just modified our function in per capita form. It was a total function and it was a per capital function, that how much output you are producing per labor. Okay. So now if I want to plot this on the diagram, then how will it be plotted in the diagram? Okay, so this is the diagram. Also, what does it tell? That output per worker is a function of capital per worker. And what we are assuming now, that we are assuming that law of diminishing marginal return is applicable here. So how will be a production function? The production function will get flatter at capital per worker increases. So it will be like this, due to law of diminishing marginal returns. Sorry, I may have said law of variable proportion before, but it is law of diminishing marginal return, due to which this production function gets flatter as capital per worker increases. So here it will be small k, capital per worker, and similarly here it will be output per worker, that is small y. Okay, so now if you want to see that what is the slope of this production function, can anyone tell me? Okay, just pause the video and write down by yourself. Let me see the answer. So verify your answer. Anyway, it's not that much hard question. I'll just ask you. Okay, so you know, to find out the slope, you have to just differentiate with respect to the input. So what I will do, dy by d small k. Make sure you write small y here and here small k. Don't mix like that. Also, don't write small k as this, because sometimes examiner may get confused whether it is big K or small k. Always write k as this, always, and y as this. Okay, so that you won't create any confusion for the examiner to check the exam. So this will be equal to f dash small k, right? And what is this? This is your marginal product of capital per worker, which is equal to f dash k. Also, there is law of diminishing returns, so that means that this implies that as k increases, small k increases, your mpk falls. Also, if you can see in the diagram, this is your mpk, this is getting flatter and flatter, right? This is a slope only, and this is getting flatter and flatter. And you know, when the slope gets flatter, that means is its steepness is getting decreased. Okay, so this was all about the supply of goods and its production function. Now we will move on to demand for goods and similarly consumption function. So in Solow model, let me write down first demand and consumption function. Okay, so in Solow model we assume that demand for a good comes from only consumption and investment. Okay, it means that output per worker is divided between consumption per worker and investment per worker. So if I write down what is your demand function, this is y is equal to AD, right? Now it is told us that your demand is coming only from two sides. What are the two sides? That is consumption and investment. So now what I will do now, I will divide both with the labor. Okay, so this will be y upon n, this will be c upon n, this will be I upon n. So you can write down what is this. This is output per worker is equal to small c, and this is small I. Consumption per worker and investment per worker. So this is the your consumption function in the Solow model. Okay, so the model assumes that fraction of income is saved That is, the saved income is what? It is S. And what is the remaining fraction? 1 minus S, which is spent on the consumption. So now if I want to rewrite the consumption function, what can I write about C? Small c is equal to y minus what? Small s of y, that is income per worker minus the proportion you have saved is your consumption per worker, because you know that your income is what you can do with income, either you can consume or you can save, right? And your saving is the one which you can further invest. So I can write down C as this. So also, if you want to more compact form, it will be written as 1 minus small s into small y. So now what I will do, I will put this C value in this function. So let's see what we get. So y is equal to, putting C here, 1 minus s into y plus I, right? So this will be equal to y is equal to y minus sy plus I. Y get cancelled. This imply your sy is equal to I. That means, what does it telling you? It is just telling you that whatever you are saying, you are investing. Okay. That is, investment are equal to the saving. So now, therefore, production and consumption function, which we have done, consumption and production function before, these are the two main elements of the Solow model. So now we will plot this consumption function in the diagram. So you know that we got this equation, I is equal to sy. This is also the consumption function, and if you want to calculate the slope of this consumption function, you can differentiate with respect to small k, because you know in the x-axis it is capital stock per worker, and in the y-axis it is output per worker. So if you differentiate this with respect to k, what will you get? Di by dk, small k, and it will be s, and what will it be? Del small y by small dk, small k. And we have already seen that this was the slope of our production function also, so we can directly write it as f dash k, which is also the slope of production function. So you know that production function was this, due to law of diminishing marginal return, right? This was your production function, y is equal to f small k. Okay, so now you know that this was the slope of production function. Now we will see that whether the slope of consumption function is more or less than production function. So you can see that s is the proportion between 0 to 1, and if you will put any value between 0 and 1 here, it will decrease the whole value, right? This is the basic mathematics. Okay, so that means that slope of consumption function will be less than slope of production function. Okay, so slope of consumption function is less than slope of production function. That is, slope of small I is less than slope of y. Okay, so it will be lower than this and more flatter, right? So let's say this is this. Okay, and at any point, let's say this point, you can see here, this is your what? This is your investment or saving, and we know that if we subtract investment from y, what are we left with? We are left with consumption. So that part is your consumption. Okay, so this was all about the basic, the demand and the consumption and production function of the Solow model, which will act as a base for the Solow model. From the next class, we will see how will it be affecting the growth level and what will be the steady state level of capital. Okay, so thank you guys for watching, and always ask your doubt as many as you can. Okay, I'll be happy to help you. Okay guys, bye.